You're listening to Short Inspirations from Ralph. How do I get to know God? Part 1. This is a follow-on series from Does God Really Exist? Perhaps you believe that there is actually a God out there, an intelligent designer, a creator, but your real question is this: how do I get to know God personally? How do I reach out to Him? How do I approach Him? And the very first thing that I would say about that is this great quote from the prophet Jeremiah 29:13. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. And I have heard testimony after testimony over the years of imperfect people, which we all are, who genuinely seek God and they have found Him. This is the great starting point for someone who wants to get to know God. But the second thing that you may be wondering, is God good? Can I trust Him? Well, James in James 1:17 said this: every gift God freely gives us is good and perfect, streaming down from the Father of lights, who shines from the heavens, listen to this, with no hidden shadow or darkness, and is never subject to change. The Message says in that last line, there is nothing deceitful in God, nothing two-faced, nothing fickle. And what that means is that God is not only good, but He can be trusted because He has your best interests at heart. He is a safe God who is stable. And that's the very thing that people are looking for in an unstable world. It's like building the house of your life on a solid rock rather than shifting sand, as Jesus has said. And this all means that God is incredibly approachable. You see, when you come to God, it's not a complicated formula or list of instructions or rules that you have to follow in order to qualify. It's nothing like that. In the Message translation of the Bible, there's a remarkable verse. I'm going to read it out. It says this: it's impossible to please God apart from faith. It's Hebrews 11:6. And why? Because anyone who wants to approach God must believe both that He exists and that He cares enough to respond to those who seek Him. And so here it is. It's this thing called faith, a conviction that you know that God is real and that He exists, and that He will come into your life and flood it with this great thing called hope. But here's the issue. The issue is this: you only have to have a tiny, tiny bit of faith. This is what Jesus says: the size of a mustard seed. And that's enough to start a lifelong and an eternity-long relationship with your Creator. Wow. And He will reveal Himself to you through His Son, Jesus Christ, who gave Himself up for you and I. And if you really do want to know God, your Creator, the worst thing that you can do is to believe that you are not good enough to come to Him, and to believe that somehow God is annoyed or angry with you. He will accept you just as you are. There's a very old hymn called Just As I Am, and it's written in Old English, but it's so beautiful about this point. And the second verse says this: just as I am, though tossed about, with many a conflict and many a doubt, fighting and fears within, without, O Lamb of God, meaning Jesus, I come, I come. Top theologian Professor John Lennox gives some illustrations of this. He talks about a person studying for a qualification in university over a number of years, but that person isn't granted the rewards of that work until they meet the demands of the course to get their degree or whatever they're going for. They can't go through the gate of acceptance until they reach the required standard. But with Christianity, it's the opposite of that. Right at the start, when a person comes to Jesus, they are totally washed and forgiven and accepted for the rest of their lives and into eternity. And this is accomplished before a person does anything. They come just as I am. And Professor Lennox says this is the difference between Christianity and all other religions, that you come the way you are and you are forgiven through this wonderful grace and mercy of God. And so our God will accept you, and He is not angry with you. He loves you. God bless you today.